All right, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode number 79 of the WMMA Scene Report, regular show where I go over everything going on within the world of women's mixed martial arts, from weekend fight reviews to news to upcoming fight previews, a little bit of everything. So we got a lot of fights to go over, both on the review side and the preview side. So let's get down to it. Let's get into the past weekend's reviews. First up, we're going to Bellator number 251. Manhoof versus Anderson. First fight in the Flyweight division. Sumiko Inaba defeated Jessica Ruiz via TKO, via ground and pound at 4 minutes 59 seconds of the first round. A nice little buzzer beater stoppage. Inaba, really nice work in the clinch. Got the takedown, started raining hard ground and pound to get the stoppage. Inaba climbed to 1-0. Ruiz fell to 0-2. Nice little debut there for Sumiko Inaba. Then up at Featherweight, Janae Harding defeated Jessie Mealy via unanimous decision. Harding climbed to 6-4. Mealy fell to 9-5. Nice work in this fight by Harding. She showed a lot of improvement in this fight, particularly off of her back. I think like 2 or 3 times she had sweeps to reverse her position. Mealy, I like the work that she did to stop the momentum of Harding in a couple different segments of the fight as well. But overall, very nice win for Janae Harding, who showed a lot of improvement. Next up, on Friday, we're going to One Championship Inside the Matrix 2. Had one ladies fight in their one atomweight 115-pound division. Mungbo defeated Priscilla Guile via KO at 1 minute 26 seconds of the first round. Mungbo climbed to 15-5. Guile fell to 7-5. Let me tell you something. Excuse me. Mungbo has some bricks for hands. I mean, she caught Guile on one leg as Guile was kicking, came with a right, just floored her, followed her up with a couple of follow-on punches but honestly the job was already done. Nice stoppage for her. Retained her number 2 spot in one's atomweight rankings, and punched her ticket to their Grand Prix that they'll be starting sometime early next year. Then we go to UFC Fight Nights. Excuse me, Santos versus Teixeira. One ladies fight in the strawweight division. Yan Xiaonan defeated Claudia Gadelha via unanimous decision. Excuse me. Yan climbed to 13-1. Gadelha fell to 18-5. I said that Gadelha would have the type of ground game to test Yan's takedown defense, which she did in the first round, and honestly it was found a little bit wanting. But second and third round, Xiaonan just took over. Particularly in the second round, used very nice footwork along with the jab to basically keep Gadelha at the edge of her rage. So nice work there for Yan Xiaonan, who got a nice move up the rankings, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Let's see, next up, Dana White's Contender Series. Just this past Tuesday, had one fight in the strawweight division. Luana Pinheiro defeated Stephanie Frausto via KO at 2 minutes 48 seconds of the first round. Pinheiro climbed to 8-1. Frausto fell to 8-7. I basically said last week that this looked like a setup fight, and it basically was. Frausto was showing some nice defense on the feet at first, keeping Pinheiro on the edge with some low kicks, but Pinheiro, came with a really hard lunging right that missed, but set up Frausto for another big left hook and a follow-on right that just straight up floored Frausto, and she was done after that. So Pinheiro also got signed to the UFC off of that. Excuse me. And then finally, just earlier before I recorded this, at Cffc 43 in the co-main event strawweight division, Danielle Taylor defeated Jessica Aguilar via split decision. Taylor climbed to 11-5. Aguilar fell to 20-9. I didn't watch. Well, I watched the last round of this fight, and I was like, I'm glad I didn't watch the other 2 rounds. It was okay looking, I guess, but meh. It's 2020, and neither of these two have been very entertaining lately. Really all I have to say about that one. Alright, so that was it for this past week's reviews. So let's head on into the news. First up, some news out of Deep Jewels. The all-ladies Japanese MMA promotion has announced that Amp the Rocket, Suwanon Bunsorn, is their new microweight champion. They had a tournament earlier in this year to decide it. They had to postpone the finals due to COVID-19. However, the other finalist in the tournament, Mizuki Furuse, announced her pregnancy and wedding, meaning she'll be out of fighting for a while. So Deep Jewels, rather than finding a replacement, awarded the championship to Amp the Rocket. So she is now their new microweight 97 pounds champion. So congrats to Amp the Rocket. Some UFC news. Randa Marcos steps in for Livia Souza against Kanako Murata at UFC Fight Night on 11/14. That's this Saturday, and we're going to preview that fight later. Some CFFC news. They have CFFC 88 going down next weekend, November 18th in Philadelphia. A strawweight bout between Claudia Barrel, 1-0, and Cressida Adams, 2-0. And then some One Championship fight announcement. One Inside the Matrix 4 goes down November 20th in Singapore. They have a catchweight bout between Maya Mazar, 6-3, and Che Jung-yoon coming in at 2-0. It's an interesting, weird little matchup there at catchweight. And then UAE Warriors 14 goes down November 27th in Abu Dhabi. They have 2 flyweight bouts. First up, Ellen Oberg coming in at 3-1, taking on Stephanie Page, 5-1. And then in the co-main event, a bout for the vacant flyweight title between Manon Fiorot coming in 4-1. She's taking on Gabriela Campos coming in 6-1. So you have the vacant flyweight title fight, but then also that earlier fight is likely going to serve as a #1 contender belt all on the same day. So nice booking there for UAE Warriors. Next up, UFC Featherweight Felicia Spencer will be grappling at Submission Underground 19, December 20th. She'll be taking on SUG regular Amanda Lewin. So it would be a good grappling bout there. And then Invicta FC 43 goes down next Friday, November 20th. They announced a featherweight bout. Two-time Olympic judo gold medalist and PFL lightweight tournament champion Kayla Harrison will be making her Invicta debut in the featherweight division, and she'll be taking on Courtney Lion King. Very much looking forward to that. I did a video about that announcement. You can go check that out after this one if you'd like. Then the featherweight title fight set for UFC 256 between champion Amanda Nunes and challenger Megan Anderson is off after Nunes has withdrawn for unknown reasons. Most likely injury, but Nunes hasn't been forthcoming as to why. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But for now, that fight is off. And then per the official UFC Spanish language Twitter, UFC Espanol, UFC Bantamweight Tracy Cortez is planning a move back down to flyweight. So Cortez, started her career at flyweight, fought at flyweight on a contender series, got picked up, and then fought her first 2 UFC bouts at bantamweight. Now she's decided to move back down to flyweight, which I think that's a better fit for her. She's kind of thick, a little big for flyweight, but she's by no means, an actual bantamweight. So she'll definitely fit in better back down at flyweight, which, being that she's primarily a grappler, that division could use some more grapplers as well. Next up, Icon FF3 goes down next Friday, November 20th in Mexico. They've announced a flyweight bout. Kayla Harako coming in 1-2, taking on Jessica Solis coming in 0-1. It should be available on UFC Fight Pass. And then Bellator 254 goes down December 10th. They've added a featherweight bout between Jessica Borga, 3-2, And Marina Molknatkina coming in at 4-2. Did a little announcement video on that one as well, if you want to go check that out later. And then the Deep and Pancrase co-promoted event for Osaka, going down November 29th, is going to feature a ladies grappling bout between a pair of Deep Jewels fighters at 52 kilograms. Sakura Mori is taking on Seika Izawa. Now, both ladies just fought last weekend, the week before, at Deep Jewels 30, so they're making a quick turnaround for a grappling bout, and they're fighting at a weight in between where both of them normally fight. So a little bit of a catchweight bout there. And then finally, UFC has a fight night going down February 13th of next year. They announced a flyweight bout. Macy Barber coming in 8-1. She's taking on, Alexa Grasso coming in at 12-3. Should make for a very interesting bout. Bit of a tough one for Macy Barber coming back off of knee surgery. So that is it for the news for this week. So let's move into the rankings discussion. So one championship, no ranking changes. Monbo had her number 2 spot on the line, but managed to beat Priscilla Guile, so she managed to keep her spot. UFC, though, has some ranking changes. First up, at strawweight, Yan Xiaonan moved into the number 3 spot, replacing Claudia Gadelha. And then Claudia Gadelha moved all the way down, I believe, to number 8. And then Tisha Torres moved up 1 spot to number 9, pushing Amanda Hebos back down to number 10. I have no complaints about that move. Now, I will say one thing. The way the UFC does rankings, I don't necessarily agree with. For example, Yan Xiaonan moved from, number 9 or number 8 all the way up to number 3. I don't believe that a fighter should automatically replace the higher ranked person if it's several spaces higher based off of a single win. To me, a move up the rankings should be based on an accumulation of wins, not a single win. For example, Yan passed up Esparza, she passed up Watterson, she passed up Ansarov, passed up, I believe, Marina Rodriguez, passed up all of those fighters to number 3, but she hasn't necessarily proven that she is the 3rd best fighter in that division based off of a single win against Claudia Gadelha. So I disagree with how the rankings panel does that all the time in the UFC. I think rankings should be based on an accumulation of wins, not a single win. So anyway, that is it for the rankings update for this week. So we're moving into our final segment already, the upcoming weekend fight previews. First up, we're going to Thursday night. Bellator number 252 has one ladies bout in the strawweight division. Carrie Taylor Melendez taking on Emily King. Melendez coming in 4-0. King coming in at 4-3. Melendez, of course, undefeated, coming off of a decision win over Mandy Polk a little over a year ago. King riding a 4-fight win streak. Most recently submitted Ava Knight via rear naked choke 9 months ago. Melendez is the elder fighter, 36 years to King's 27. She's the taller fighter as well, 5 feet 6 inches, 168 centimeters to King's 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters. Melendez will also have a 2-inch reach advantage, 67.5 inches, 171 centimeters to King's 65.5 inches, 166 centimeters. So unlike when Emily King faced Ava Knight, who had a clear striking advantage but lacked in a ground game, I feel like she's taking on a much tougher opponent here in Carrie Melendez. Obviously not quite as experienced as King, but Melendez is a superb striker, and she is no slouch on the ground either with her submissions. So she's definitely not going to be able to pick up quite an easy win as she did against Ava Knight. I'm going with Melendez to pull out the win here. Now, Melendez was 0.2 pounds over the weight limit. She weighed in at 116.2, and she did announce that she'll be moving up to flyweight after this bout, which makes sense. She's in Bellator, and they don't have a strawweight division, so it's a sensible move. Next up, we're going all the way to Saturday. First up in South Korea, Zeus FC number 5 has a, we'll call it a strawweight bout. Typology's listing at 117 because of metric. Ye-Rin Hong coming in at 1-1, taking on Kyolin Kim, coming in at 1-2. Now Hong is coming off of a win earlier this year at Zeus FC 4, 8 months ago over Jae Chae via decision. Kyolin Kim coming in off of 2 straight losses. First up to Yeadam Sa a year and 4 months ago, and then a submission loss to Yoon-Ha Hong, what was that, a year and 2 months ago. Both fighters much more experienced than her as well. They are the same age, both 18 years old. Let's see. Kim is slightly taller, 5 feet 3 inches, 159 centimeters, to Hong's 5 feet 1 inch, 155 centimeters. I don't really remember much of Kim's 2 previous fights, mostly because she was up against superior opponents who just, straight up took advantage of her. Hong, I remember her fight with Jae Chae very well. She's a very hard hitter and was able to, outpunch Jae Chae, who was probably the technically superior striker, but Hong just hit that much harder. I'm not going to make a pick on this one, but if I was forced to, I'd probably go with Ye-Rin Hong because of that power punching. So also on Saturday in Poland is going to be KSW 56. They have one ladies bout in the flyweight division. Karolina Avzars coming in, taking on Justina Lara-Croft Haba. Avzars coming in undefeated at 3-0. Haba coming in 2-1. Now Avzars coming in off of a win over Alexandra Wola via triangle choke 11 months ago. Haba last fought 10 months ago, coming off a TKO win over Claudia Pavica. Let's see. Haba is 2 years older, 29 years to Avzar's 27 years. Avzar's 1 inch taller, 5 feet 6 inches, 168 centimeters to Haba's 5 feet 5 inch, 165 centimeters. No reach listed for Haba. Avzar's is listed at 66.9 inches, 170 centimeters reach. Haven't seen too many. I can't remember if I've ever seen Avzar's fight or not. I feel like I've seen one of her fights, but I can't remember what one. Maybe the Alexandra Wola fight. Haba, I remember her fights in Ryzen. She beat Shinju O'Clair in her debut, and then had to fight Kana Watanabe, who had like 6-7 fights more experience on her. This is another one. I'm hard pressed to pick a winner here. They're same experience level. They're both striking based. It's a toss up for me, so I'm not going to make a pick on this one either. So then we move to Saturday night, UFC Fight Night Felder versus Dos Anjos, aka UFC Vegas 14. 3 ladies fights, all in the strawweight division. First up, Miranda Marcos taking on Kanako Murata down on the prelims. Marcos coming in at 10-9-1. Murata coming in 11-1. Marcos coming in on a 2-fight skid, losing to Amanda Hebos and then Mackenzie Dern, most recently by armbar just under 2 months ago. Murata making her UFC debut, last fought a year ago, defeating Emily Ducote via split decision for the vacant Invicta strawweight title. Marcos is the elder fighter, 35 years to Murata's 27 years. She is the taller fighter, 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters to Murata's 5'1", 156 centimeters. Marcos has slight reach advantage as well, 63.5 inches, 161 centimeters to Murata's 62 inches, 157 centimeters. So Marcos has the clear experience level advantage here. She's been in with tougher opponents. She's beaten tougher opponents than Miranda has. She's also lost to tougher opponents than Miranda has. Both fighters are primarily grapplers, wrestling base. I would say Miranda is the more decorated wrestler. Marcos, I would give the striking advantage to as well. Miranda's is very basic. However, she has been working at the CSA gym in California with Kieran Fitzgibbons. So her striking, she should show some striking improvement. I'm not sure how much she's been able to train there recently with COVID and everything, though. Big question here is Marcos is coming in on the first actual slump of, I believe, her entire career. I don't think she's ever lost 2 fights in a row before this. No, not professionally. So, big questions on Marcos' confidence. And honestly, her fight IQ has been coming into question lately, particularly that loss to Mackenzie Dern. This is one of those fights, I'm going to steal a quote from someone, Marcos can and should win this, but probably won't. I feel like she's going to take that third L and then probably won't see her in the UFC again after this. So I'm going with Kanako Murata to win this one. Then also on the prelims, Ashley Yoder versus Miranda Granger. The Spider Monkey Yoder coming in 7-6. Danger Granger coming in at 7-1. Yoder coming in off of 2 straight losses to Randa Marcos a year ago, and then Livia Souza just under 3 months ago. Granger coming in off of the first loss of her career to Amanda Lemos via rear naked choke 10 months ago. Let's see. Yoder's the elder fighter, 33 to Granger's 28 years. They stand the same height, 5 feet, 7 inches, 170 centimeters tall. However, Granger has a little bit of reach on Yoder. 68 inches, 173 centimeters for Granger. 66.5 inches, 169 centimeters for Yoder. I like Ashley Yoder, and I want to see her do well. I just don't have confidence in her going into any fight, really, anymore. She was able to pick up a couple wins in the last, couple years, but just very inconsistent. And, like in her last fight, Dominic Cruz pointed it out, it is a really bad habit of hers. She gets a chance, she will jump on the back of her opponent, but she always gets way too high and then loses the position. And she did it multiple times against Souza. And just making mistakes that show a lack of overall fight IQ. I'm not big on Granger either, but I am going to take her to win this one. So we're going to go with Miranda Danger Granger to defeat Ashley the Spider Monkey Yoder. And then up on the main card, a couple of youngsters here. Kay Hansen taking on Corey the Hobbit McKenna. Hansen coming in 7-3. McKenna coming in at 5-1. Hansen coming off a successful UFC debut over Jin Yu Fry via triangle armbar 4 months ago. McKenna coming in off of a Contender Series win, getting signed just under 3 months ago. They are the same age, 21 years. Looks like McKenna's a month older. McKenna is slightly taller, 5 feet 3 inches, 160 centimeters to Hansen's 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters. However, Hansen has a nice reach advantage, 63 inches, 160 centimeters to McKenna's 58.5 inches, 149 centimeters. So McKenna's got some short little hobbit arms, I guess you could say. So both of these fighters are primarily wrestlers. Not much to say about their stand-up either. The big question is, who's the better wrestler? Well, you look at some of the opponents that Hansen has been in there with, and it's hard to say because most of her wins are over primarily stand-up fighters, and when she's been in there against good ground fighters she's lost. Like she, excuse me, lost a split to Magdalena Samova like a year and a half ago in Invicta. She lost to Erin Blanchfield. Now, granted, that was at Flyweight. Lost to Cal Schwartz, who is a good wrestler. That was 2.5 years ago. McKenna, though, don't really know much about her opposition. She has some good, like couple good wins over some more experienced opponents, but also some like so-so wins. And don't know really much about any of her Cage Warriors opponents. I'm going to go with the more known factor here. Hansen has been in there with definitely some tougher opponents. She has the experience factor, and you know what? She's already gotten through those octagon jitters. So I'm going to go with Kay Hansen to win this one here. And then finally we move over to the Dana White's Contender Series on Tuesday, where we have a pair of ladies bouts. One of these bouts was supposed to happen last week. It got moved up to this coming week for, I think one of them tested positive for COVID, but wasn't showing any symptoms, so they pushed her fight back 2 weeks. First up, at Flyweight, Chelsea the Hammer Hackett taking on Victoria Fury Leonardo. Hackett coming in at 3-0-1. Fury coming in at 7-2. Now Hackett, after drawing in her first pro fight, is on a 3-fight win streak. Most recently catching a unanimous decision win 8 months ago over Rhiannon Thompson at Eternal MMA. Leonardo coming off a decision win over Liz Tracy just under 2 months ago. Now Fury did take this fight on relatively short notice, like 2 weeks. Don't have an age available on Tapology for Leonardo. Hackett is 21 years old. Pretty sure Leonardo's several years older. They stand the same height, 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters. No reach available on Tapology for Hackett. Leonardo has a reach of 66 inches, 168 centimeters. You know, I like Victoria Leonardo, but she has a tendency to get sloppy. Also, she's coming off, not that long ago, only 9 months ago, was that really bad TKO loss to Erin Blanchfield, where she ate like 2 left high kicks in that fight. I think they were left high kicks. They might have been right. But which shows a vulnerability to some striking. Hackett, though, much cleaner striking background, Muay Thai based. Not as sure about her ground game. Leonardo, pretty comfortable wherever the fight goes. More of a brawler style. I got to go with Hackett here. She doesn't have the experience factor, but she's more prepared coming into this fight. Leonardo's coming in on like 2 weeks' notice. So Hackett had more time to prepare. Also, I like Hackett's striking better than I like Leonardo's. Leonardo's a bit more of a brawler. She's, for example, her fight over Geltmacher just became like an all-out slobber knocker brawl. Fun fight though, but I like the striking of Hackett better. Now, if Leonardo takes her down, or if the fight goes to the ground, could be anyone's game there. But stand-up wise, I got to go with Hackett, so I'm going with Chelsea Hackett to win this fight. Then also on that card, down at strawweight, Pauline Pita Macias taking on Glorina De Paula. Pita coming in at 4-0, undefeated. Glorina coming in at 4-2. Now, Macias coming in off of a win 8 months ago over Dana Grau via split decision in LFA. De Paula coming in off of a TKO win about a year and a month ago down in SFT in Brazil. No age given for Macias. I think she's 27 years old. But De Paula is listed at 25 years. DePaula has 1 inch of height on Macias, 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters, to Macias is 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters. However, the reach is almost negligible. 66 inches, 168 centimeters from Macias to DePaula's 65.7 inches, 167 centimeters for DePaula. I haven't had time to really look into either of these two, unfortunately, so don't really feel like I don't feel comfortable making a pick on this one. So according to mixedmartialarts.com, Macias is 32. So she is the elder fighter. Macias definitely looks like an LFA product because you look at her record of her opponents. 0-2 in her first fight. 0 debutante against her second fight. 1-1 in her third fight. Most recently took on someone 2-2. Yeah, that's decent matchmaking. That's all right matchmaking for MMA, and that's typical of LFA. Definitely more of a mixed record for DePaula. Now, DePaula does have a win over, where did I see that? Bruno Vargas, who's a Bellator veteran, about just under 2 years ago. So Vargas definitely has wins over more experienced opponents. But, yeah, I just don't know enough about these two, so I'm not going to make a pick for this fight. All right, so that's it for the weekend review. That's also it for episode number 79 of the WMMA Scene Report. Now, before I close out, I do want to say that I'm often doing live tweets during the events for the ladies' fight. So if you want to follow along, that's at NowWMMA on Twitter. That's at NOWWMMA. So please follow along. And I also, any fight announcement I see, I retweet, or any video I make, I tweet on there as well. So you can follow me along there. In the meantime, if you got, let me know what you think about anything we went over in the comments down below. Of course, if you liked the video, please give it a like. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.